What makes a team? A shared purpose.
We came here to go to the Final Four. We came to Michigan State to win a national championship.
A common goal.
We were just four guys from the same city with the same goal as winning the national championship.
And the understanding that to get to where you're going, you have to know where you come from.
I saw everything just change. With the jobs not being available for people, the crime rate going up. It was a sad time to be in Flint, Michigan.
In this once booming blue-collar city, the challenges moved in when the auto industry shut down.
I grew up in what you would call a ghetto. I mean, simple as that. It was drug selling going on, prostitution rings. It was a lot of murders going on in my community, in my neighborhood.
Bursting, those doors were always open, and that was our home. That kept us off the streets, that kept us away from the violence.
At Burston Fieldhouse, a small gym on Flint's north side, Antonio Smith and Mateen Cleaves found a safe haven.
If you had game or thought you could play, that's where you made your name at Burston.
A nice little place that wasn't even a full court. I'd say every major coach in the country had visited that place at one time or another.
Newly minted Michigan State head coach Tom Izzo found a foursome at Burston, representing top players from several Flint high schools.
Antonio was a guy that really started the whole thing for me because I love guys that had toughness, and I've never had a guy tougher than Antonio.
Antonio Smith was the first to commit to the Spartans in the spring of 1995. And where one from Flint would go, others would follow. Morris Peterson was next.
Once Antonio committed, he kind of told me, hey, you're not going anywhere else.
Then came Mateen Cleaves.
If Mateen wasn't going to go to Michigan State, I was ready to have Antonio go over to his house and be waiting outside for him so we can make sure he signed.
But Cleaves, a McDonald's All-American, was being courted elsewhere, to that other state school.
I was worried about Michigan. They had a lot to sell. They were coming off some of the greatest years in the history of Michigan basketball.
Growing up being a Fab Five fan, that was one of the other reasons I gravitated a little towards Michigan.
On February 18th, 1996, on what was later deemed an unofficial recruiting trip to Ann Arbor, Cleaves was among those injured in a car driven by a Michigan basketball player, with four other Wolverines inside.
I could have died, and so I thank God every day just to be able to get healthy enough to be able to dribble the basketball again, because we all could have died in that car.
The accident led to an investigation and eventual sanctions against Michigan. Cleaves committed to state, and by 1997, Charlie Bell rounded out the four from Flint.
Instead of the Fab Five, I mean, this was the Flintstones. There started to become signs, and then shirts, and then the parents were wearing shirts. Hell, I wanted to wear a shirt.
In 1998, the Flintstones led the school to the Sweet 16. The following season was to be theirs.
My senior year, it's my last shot. That's the way I'm looking at it. And we have to go get it by any means necessary. That's where the Flint come out of us.
I remember we were in the Elite Eight, trying to get to the Final Four and playing against Kentucky. And Antonio felt like we were playing soft. And he got in my face, got in Mo Pete's face.
It was my last time playing on my team, and I just wanted to give them my best.
But they would go no further than the Final Four.
And it's all over, and Duke is headed to the championship.
The stage was set, though, for the Spartans to earn the #1 overall seed in the 2000 NCAA tournament. Smith had graduated, but Mateen Cleaves was ready to fill his role.
And Michigan State has come back from 14 points down to beat the Syracuse Orangemen.
You revert back to the days playing at Burston, when you had those dog fights. You kind of find a way to win those games. So I think growing up in Flint helped us in tough times like that.
As the team rallied to the Final Four, So too did residents back in Flint, whose hometown boys gave them reason to cheer.
It's people coming up genuinely saying, man, you don't know what you did. You took my mind off of whatever was going on in my life, and you gave us that great moment.
The college basketball season will end here tonight, crowning a new champion.
As soon as we saw we was playing Florida, it was kind of like, okay, this is going to be a fun game. We should be cutting down the nets by the end of the game.
But early in the second half of that championship game, hope turned to concern when Cleaves turned his ankle.
You would have had to cut my leg off to keep me out of that game.
I said, how do you feel? He said, I can go, and he started to sit down. And I said, what are you waiting for? You know, you're in.
And here comes Mateen, Cleaves. And what a cheer from this crowd.
There was no way in the world I was going to allow the ankle injury to keep me out of helping my team win a national championship.
And Michigan State, the national champions. They did it. Wow, everybody's happy for them, particularly the city of Flint, man. You should feel proud.
Coach Iz allowed me to come out on the court with the team. He just wanted me to share that experience.
Having Antonio there, that was a key, because he maybe didn't get to win the national championship, but he was kind of the architect that helped build that whole thing to get us to that point.
It was like the greatest feeling in the world to know that all the work that we put in, we were right there, you know, national champions.
Brings tears to my eyes. It's not from what I did, it's for what those guys did for me.
It was the first time I ever cried in my life where the tears felt good. Growing up in Flint, when I was crying, I was sitting at a funeral because I went to funerals of teenage murders and gun violence. So those were hurtful tears. I never cried and it felt good. That was the first time in my life I cried and it felt good.
"15 years later, the joy of that championship is mere memory in Flint. Where the Flintstones have succeeded, the challenge remains to ensure that the bond with their past is forever inked in the present.
I always felt if I have a tattoo, it gotta mean something. What means more to me than the city that I'm from? And that's what it was all about.
It's our fraternity. You come out of Flint, more than likely you're gonna have a Flint tattoo.
For all of us, you know, it's where we came from. We were proud to represent our city. Even today, wherever I'm at, if they'd be like, you from Detroit? I'm like, no, I'm from Flint. There's a lot of pride in our city.